welcome to the Tom Trebelhorn Report. On my show, you'll get an inside look at baseball today. I'll introduce you to prominent players and coaches around the league who have some interesting views about the game. This is our segment, Player to Player. In Around the Majors, we'll check in with top stars from both leagues. I'll introduce you to prominent players from places like New York, Minnesota, and Boston. On Like a Pro, you'll get tips from the best in the business on hitting, fielding, base running, and pitching. On the road to the big leagues, you'll meet an athlete struggling to make it to the majors. Finally, I'll take you behind the scenes on our segment, The Inside Story. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Tom Trebelhorn Report. Today on Player to Player, my featured guest is Milwaukee Brewers center fielder Robin Yount. Robin is a very important part of our ball club. He was MVP at shortstop 1982, and now he's one of the finest center fielders in baseball. Robin, what are the biggest adjustments you have to make from being an infielder and going out and playing center field?
Well, Trev, I think the biggest adjustment was learning to read the ball probably off the bat and telling how far it was hit, how quickly. I think if you watch the real good center fielders, they can tell almost instantly off the bat how far the ball is going to be hit and turn their back and just go, and when they look back, the ball's right about where they are. And I think without a doubt that's the biggest adjustment for me, is the ball right over my head. The other thing, not quite as difficult to handle, but also something that I have to work on, is concentration. There's a lot less happening out there in center field, and sometimes your mind can wander, and I think it's important to really, now I have to make myself concentrate, where at shortstop I think it just came naturally.
Now, the adjustments you made playing the outfield, any ballpark or anything you have to make special adjustments for from the county stadium compared to anywhere else?
Well, most of them are pretty symmetrical, but when you go to a place like Boston that has the bullpen out there in center field and it's got a few tricky little corners, those are places that you have to be aware that there could be a few different hops off those walls and this and that, but Detroit's another one that's real big. Just got tons of room in center field, but there you don't think about really walls because it's so far back that you just run forever, it seems like, before you hit anything. And other than that, most of the ballparks are, like I say, pretty symmetrical, and you don't have to adjust too much.
1982, yourself, Paul Molitor, Jimmy Gantner, Cecil Cooper, the only guys left from the World Series club. Pete Vukovich, of course, this year having to retire because of his arm problems. What are the biggest things that you have to adjust to as clubs change from, well, veterans of that status to what we have now is a lot of young guys?
Well, I think whether you like it or not, I think sometimes your role has to change a little bit as far as maybe leadership. I've never considered myself really a leader-type personality, but with a team like this, we've got so many young players that maybe my role may change a little bit as far as that goes. I don't think I'm going to take any of the young players aside and ever sit them down and tell them what I think they should or shouldn't do. But if anything, I could lead by possibly playing as many games as you can and just playing hard all the time and setting a good example.
Robin, having gone through the pennant races in 81 and 82, and of course appearing in the World Series in 82, what are the things that we're going to have to do in 1987 to try to get this club back into those same contending situations?
Well, I think the club is becoming a lot closer to those early 80 teams as far as offense goes. I think we lacked a little bit of the power that we had through the early 80s when we were real consistent and had some real good offensive teams. I think we're catching up in that respect. But I think the real key to this team will be our pitching staff, without a doubt. We've got a lot of young pitchers with very little experience, and I think hopefully they can get some good games under their belt early, get some confidence going, and then, like I say, I think that will be the key.
In looking at the 87 season and looking at the American League East, what clubs do you respect the most? What clubs do you think will be the contenders? And in other words, who we got to beat?
Well, I think we got to beat them all. As you know, Trev, this division, you're not going to walk in the back door and come out smelling like a rose in this division unless you played darn good baseball all year long. I'll tell you what, that Cleveland Indian Ball Club, impresses me offensively as much as anybody in the league. If they get any kind of pitching, they're going to be a team to contend with. And you can't ever count out the Yankees. And then the Boston Red Sox are defending champions. Toronto's got a very good team. There's no weaknesses in this division.
It's the same thing, American League East. I think it's going to be the best baseball around, and the Milwaukee Brewers, led by Robin Yount, we hope to be in the thick of things. Coming up on our feature Around the Majors will be Boston right-hander Roger Clemens with his guest, Al Nipper. Stay tuned. Boston right-handed pitcher Roger Clemens.
Hi, my guest today is pitcher Al Nipper with the Boston Red Sox. Al, thanks for being with us today. And I guess my first question is, since pitching for 2 or 3 years up in Fenway Park, is it as tough as they say on right-handers?
It's tough. You just got to make sure you don't make many mistakes and leave the ball out over, because they'll take it over the wall on you. But I think I feel I pitch better there than I do on the road, because for the fact that I concentrate more on the hitters and not making a mistake.
You think it'd make you a better pitcher pitching in Fenway Park than instead of a bigger ballpark?
I would think so. I think it makes you more aware of making mistakes. And, you know, like they say, if you can pitch in Fenway, you can pitch anywhere. And I firmly believe that. And, you know, Bob Ojeda and John Tudor have proved that. They've pitched well in Fenway, and they've gone on to other parks, and they've done outstanding. So I think pitching in Fenway does make you a better pitcher.
Since coming up through the minor leagues here, did you struggle at any time, and who maybe helped you?
Well, probably who helped me the most out of anybody was Rack Slider, our bullpen coach now. He's the one who really helped me a lot and growing and maturing when I first signed. And I had some problems up through the minor leagues. I had a circulatory problem in my shoulder in Double-A, and then I tore my flexor muscle in my elbow in Double-A also. So I had a rough Double-A year, but then I went up to Triple-A and spent about a month there, and then made it up to the big leagues.
What are you looking forward to do this year, being the fourth starter for the Red Sox?
Well, the main thing I'm concerned about is staying healthy, and I plan on staying healthy the whole year. I'm in good shape now, and I think that'll help me overcome any injuries that I might have as far as muscles are concerned. But I look to have a good year, a productive year, and help the ball club back to the World Series. And I just want to stay healthy, and last year was a down year for me. I had that surgery on my knee, and I just wasn't the same after that for a couple months. My timing, my mechanics were really messed up, and it took me a long time to get back to the point where I was before the injury. And so far this year, I feel great, and I just want to stay healthy and be productive.
Was the 1986 World Series probably the highlight of your career so far?
That was a highlight for me, especially getting the nod in Game 4 to start in Fenway. And I thought I threw the ball well that day, and except for the home run to Gary Carter that put us down. And, you know, we went on to lose that game. But that game was really an exciting game for me. And then, again, I pitched in Game 7 in the World Series, and it didn't fare too well. But it was really exciting. It really taught me a lot and gave me a lot of experience. And I think it did for our whole staff. And I think that's going to benefit us even more, and I think we'll be even more productive this year as a staff.
Okay, Dave, we had this past year in '86, we had Tom Seaver on our bench and, of course, pitching for us. What was that like having, from what I understand, he was somebody you looked up to when you were young, and how was that, having him right there pitch with you and help you out through the games that you struggled in?
Well, you know, it was a dream come true for the simple fact that he was my idol ever since I grew, you know, was a little kid playing ball. I mean, I idolized Tom Seaver, and I always went to all his games when he pitched in St. Louis. And I got down early and always watched him pitch, and just watched his mechanics, and I was a great admirer of him. And then he got traded over here, and it was just a dream come true. And you know, I used to sit down and pick his brains about everything. We used to talk a lot about pitching, and the next day after I pitched, he'd go over things on you know, what he was thinking in a certain situation and what maybe I should have done differently. And he was just a big help. And you know, he's going to be missed by our ball club. I think that, you know, he had a lot of intangibles to offer to our ball club, and great leadership, and he was very respected. And you know, when he talked, everybody listened. And you know, he was just a great addition to our ball club.
Al, when you're out there, I know you take a lot of pride in your off-the-mound duties, your fielding during the game. Is that important to you?
Oh, it's very important. I think you're just like another fielder out on the field, and I think if you can bounce around on the mound, you know, you can help the other fielders and snag balls they might not be able to get to up the middle, and I take great pride in it, and I like to do everything as well as I can on the, you know, off the mound duties. And you know, you can save yourself a ball game if you catch a ball up the middle, or you know, you make a great fielding play down the lines on a bunt, or you know, covering first base on a tough play for the first baseman. You know, you can win 1 or 2 games a year for yourself if you're a good fielder.
Thanks, Nip, for being on the show.
All right, thanks, Raj.
Coming up on our feature Like a Pro will be Boston Red Sox right-handed pitcher Roger Clemens with some pitching tips. Stay tuned.
Hi, on today's Like a Pro, I'm going to show you my fastball, which is my bread and butter pitch. There's 2 different types of fastballs that I throw, and I'm going to demonstrate those to you right here in a moment. The first type of fastball that I knew when all throughout college and up to my first 2 years in the big leagues is a with-the-seam fastball. This is a pitch that will move a little bit more than the cross-seamer, which I'll show you later. But this pitch is maybe to deceive the hitter a little bit more, just so you got a ball that's not as straight and it moves around a little bit, makes it a little tougher on the hitters. The way I throw this pitch is I bring the ball up. It's just like it says, a with-the-seam fastball. You have the 2 seams. You place both fingers right on the seams, and you have the ball jointed just like this. And the reason why it does it is called a with-the-seam fastball, and the reason probably why it moves more than the cross-seamer is when you release it, you get this rotation right here. And the ball will rotate this way. You have 2 seams breaking into the wind instead of 4. And the 2 seams will cause this ball to move in and out or dip and dive, which might deceive the hitter a little bit. Now, opposing that, in 1985, I learned the cross-seam fastball, which probably helped me, the greatest of my Bill Fisher, our pitching coach, helped me with this pitch. And when you release the ball where it's going to stay there. It's a pitch that will ride a little bit, maybe rise. Once you throw it in or out, it's going to stay there, and you can really position this ball. It's a power pitch for me, and it's worked a great extent for me also. This way, I'll demonstrate to you here, here's the with the seam again. I'll rotate this ball across, and I have a cross seam, or what you call across the seams. Your fingers are placed across the seams that way. The reason why this ball will stay straighter and probably rise, they say it will rise. A lot of people say a ball cannot rise, but this ball will jump. And when it rotates, there it is. You have 4 seams rotating into the wind when you release it, and it'll cause the ball to get this action here and stay wherever you put it. If I go inside or I go outside, that ball usually stay in that area. These are the way I throw it, and these are my bread and butter pitches, and help me in the big leagues.
Is that right? All right, that's what I was looking for. What? Now you're doing.
On today's Players Poll, we asked the question, what's the best thing about spring training?
I guess the camaraderie with the guys again, getting to know everybody again, and all the laughs that you have.
Eating the spreads after workout.
When it's over.
Come down and get a nice tan and go fishing and work out and get ready for the upcoming season. Being here at home in Florida.
There's no best thing. Getting in shape.
Playing golf.
Best thing about spring training is baseball. Day in and day out, hanging around baseball people, talking to baseball people in a relaxed atmosphere.
Getting it over with.
Coming up next on our feature on the road to the big leagues will be pitcher Richie Lewis from Florida State University. Pitcher with all the right stuff, Richie Lewis from Florida State.
I started playing ball about first time I was able to walk from Muncie, Indiana, and from the south side of town, and it's not the good side from where I'm from. So baseball's always been a dream to me. It's kind of a Cinderella story, so to speak, so far.
Richie's the kind of kid that you just describe as a bulldog. He loves the ball in big ball games. He never wants to be taken out because he's afraid that somebody might go out there and lose it for him.
Now in his junior year, Lewis is an established star for the top-ranked Seminoles, and he's being touted as the best player in this year's baseball collegiate draft. His talent became apparent years ago, and it was polished by his #1 coach, his dad.
My dad tends to be rough on me than he may have been with the other players, but I think it helped me in the long run. As of today, I'm more disciplined, and I'm a hard worker, and I have a lot of self-motivation, and I think it was taught through that. regiment.
It didn't take long for Lewis to attract the eyes of baseball scouts. By the time he led the Seminoles into the NCAA World Series, Lewis had become big news. In only his sophomore year, he figured in all 4 Seminole victories by winning 2 games himself and saving 2 others. But it was his incredible strikeout ratio performance which truly captured the imagination of the baseball world. It was during that sophomore season that Lewis struck out 202 batters in but 127.2 innings. Oh yes, he ended the season with an impressive 14-2 record. One could almost predict this type of season after Lewis's freshman year when he was named MVP of the Metro Conference Tournament, the first freshman to win the award.
I try to get loose when I'm going in the bullpen, and when I cross the white lines, I'm a different person. I try to more or less be inside of a fishbowl, so to speak. I try to climb into myself and stay within the capacity of my capabilities and just perform up to the God-given talent that I have.
I think every catcher in the country should get one chance to catch Richie Lewis. He's competitive. I tell you, he's so mean that when his mother gave him his first rattler, the snake was still attached to it. You know, it's just that type of kid. You got to work with Richie. You know, he's going to expect you to work as hard as he works, which is a demanding thing. But if you're willing to work with him and for him and show him you'll bust your butt as much as he will, he's a pleasure to catch.
I've really never changed anything. I'm always same leg kick, same arm slot. I've even kept the same grip on the fastball. I throw a cross-seam fastball. And when I got to Florida State, they tried to make me switch to a 2-seam fastball to get a little more movement, but that didn't seem to work because I didn't have that graded control coming in. Other than that, I really haven't made that many changes in my mechanics at all.
Yet there's another dimension to Lewis's game which goes beyond ability.
All his life, people have said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't have this, you don't have that, and he's just proving people wrong time and time again. He's just an exciting figure. He's fun to watch, he's fun to play with, he's fun to play behind, he's fun to be around. He's Richie.
The hardest part when you're playing behind Richie is not to relax. Such a good competitor he is. It's a lot of fun to watch him pitch hard. He just goes after the hitters. You're playing behind him. You know there's a good chance of a win. You know the guy is going to give 120%, and that fires everybody on the team up, and everybody gets up for the games when he pitches.
He loves to go out there and pitch against good hitters, against the best competition he can find. That's a rare trait in many athletes on this level because most of them are a little bit intimidated by failing. Richie is not afraid of failing. He's also possessed with a very good arm. He's got a very good fastball in the high 80s, low 90s, and he also possesses a great breaking ball.
As he continues to lead the Seminoles to another successful season, Lewis awaits that eventful day in June when collegiate's #1 pitcher could become Major League Baseball's #1 pick on the road to the big leagues.
For joining me on the Tom Trebelhorn Report. Remember, you can catch all the Brewer action live on the Brewer Baseball Network.